Welcome back, ladies. So, yeah, this time we're in my kitchen, and I figured, you know what? As much as I love kettlebells, training, and everything, I think the other part of the package is just, how I went from previous pictures I've shown you, where I'm a lot bigger, a lot slower, very tired, to where I'm at now, and hopefully continuing through the future. I figured, hey, you know what? I might just show some of the recipes that I eat on a regular basis that keeps me satisfied. They're cost effective because God knows these days, especially with the way the economy is happening and everything, we're all trying to save some money, but we also want to look after ourselves and our families. So I'm gonna go ahead and put out some recipes that are simple, cost effective, and they taste good. Because I mean, ultimately, if you're trying to help nourish your body, especially through your time in menopause and beyond, I think it's important to make sure that, you're eating things that you like. Um, High in fiber, high in protein, lots of water in it. Of course, definitely that's a must. That's going to help nourish you, but you also want to make sure it tastes good. And yeah, I'm a huge foodie. I'm down for anything that tastes really good. So I've found ways to build recipes just on my own that I found work really well for me by keeping me full, keeping me satisfied, and it's something that it's on repeat, and repetition, as we know, is huge. It's actually quite valuable in terms of making sure that we can continue to sustain a lifestyle. Because ultimately, if you want to improve your life, where you go from being tired, sluggish, brain fog, everything hurts, to, okay, you know what, I'm feeling a lot more comfortable in my skin, you want to make sure that you have, food, exercise program, just a whole lifestyle system that will help and that's easy to repeat. So, the less you gotta think about it, the easier you can repeat it, and the more beneficial it'll be for you in the long run. So today, I decided to share one of my favorite go-to breakfasts. Heck, it could be lunch or dinner, depending on where you are in your day. But I love a good zucchini oatmeal. To me, it tastes a lot like um, zucchini bread. And I don't know if anybody's had zucchini bread. To me, it's like it almost tastes like carrot cake. So if you like carrot cake, something that tastes like a dessert for breakfast or lunch or dinner, depending on what you feel like, breakfast for dinner is a thing. Um, Follow me. So I actually went out yesterday and I actually needed, I was out of zucchini. And I was like, you know what? I just walked into a Walmart because it happened to be nearby. And I got this giant zucchini. They had them on sale. And like, this is a big one. I mean, the last time I had a zucchini this big, it actually came from a friend of mine, a coworker at work. She had a garden and she had these giant zucchinis. But actually, in a store, I've never seen a zucchini this big. So I am not going to be using this entire zucchini for this recipe. I'm actually going to use some of it for the zucchini oats, and then the rest I'll probably be using for like soups. I've got like another soup, a recipe that I will be sharing later on that uses a fair amount of zucchini, but I'm going to be cutting this up. So really, I just need about a quarter cup. So really, I only need about maybe anywhere between a quarter to a half cup of zucchini. If you really wanted a little bit more like green and crisp tasting, you can go for a whole cup. But I feel like something a little more like grassy today, like a little more filling. So I'm gonna go with about a cup of zucchini. So I'm gonna cut this big guy. So I've cut him right here, nice and fresh. Look at that. And the rest I'm gonna put away. So yeah, I found that eating this way, where at least like I'd say 80% of my food is home cooked, and I found that I just feel a whole lot better. So I've got my little grater here, hand grater. You can use a food processor if you'd like. You can throw it into you know, any one of those food processors, and you just kind of want to have it grated, shredded, and this takes a little bit of handwork, but that's okay. This is good for your grip strength and such. So you're getting a little bit of physical activity while you're making your meal. But yeah, I just found that um, you know, since I've been eating in this way, I'm getting a lot less hot flashes and night sweats. Like I found like one of the biggest things that let me know that, you know, something was off, something was changing in my body, was just having a whole lot of, just so you can see what I'm doing, just having a whole lot of like sudden night sweats. Like I'll just get up and I'd be soaking wet. And at first I was like, oh my God, am I coming down with something like cold or flu or something? But then I realized like it happened a few nights in a row. And then you know, it would be very sporadic. So, you know, couple nights in a row, I'm waking up soaking wet, almost in a puddle, changing my clothes, which is really funny because I'm trying not to wake my husband next to me. He's blissfully asleep, and I'm creeping out of bed to change everything. I'm talking tank top, underwear, everything, and then having the towel off, and then put on new clothes, using my cell phone as a flashlight to find my clothing. And it was funny because, like, you know, I'd wake up and then in dry clothes, but then I'd sweat through that, and I'd be awakened by being freezing cold. So it's like it's just a constant battle of, you know, trying to figure out how to get comfortable. So I noticed though, since I've really taken on eating a lot of vegetables and fruit and just upped my water intake and just working out in general, especially grabbing those kettlebells, I found that instances of having my hot flashes have really gone down. Like now, it used to be, you know, a few nights a week I'd wake up in that state. And now, honestly, I could say like maybe once a month. It's kind of interesting. And sometimes months go by. Uh, it's been a long time, like I'd say maybe about a good month and a half since the last time something like that happened. But anyway, so we've got our zucchini nicely shredded. And I'm just going to let you guys see what it looks like. So it's kind of fluffy, okay? Nice and fluffy, kind of squishy. And so yeah, you can see where it's a little more than a cup, you know, give or take. But like if you find that you've made extra, it's okay. You can always just, you know, if it's more than you need, you can always put it on the freezer. It freezes really well. You can just take, you know, put it in ice cube pucks or like one of those little takeaway containers, label it, date it, and the nice thing is, even if it's frozen, you can just pop it into soups or other recipes. So it's pretty handy. Like it's a great way to sneak in, you know, the extra fiber in your diet. I'm just gonna rinse my hands off here off camera. So that is one way of adding, you know, a fair amount of fiber into your diet. Apples are another great way to get a bit of sweetness and fiber and the pectin. A lot of like it's low key like a superfood that, you know, for some reason a lot of folks still sleep on. So any apple will do. I like it because it adds a bit of sweetness to the zucchini. So I got my pot here, and basically what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna just roughly dice up the apple because I kind of like the chunks. But it really, any way you want to do it, it's entirely up to you. Like this is all these recipes, Like anything can be tailored to how you would like to have it. The main thing is that you're eating it. And the thing is too, what's interesting is that like brain fog was another interesting thing. Like sometimes you'd be fishing for the words. You're like, im and ah, like you're at work or you're having a conversation with somebody and you're like, what is that word it's trying to say? And it's on the tip of your tongue. So I found that that's another interesting little change that's happened here or there. But like again, I found like, eating a lot of these whole foods makes a huge difference. So yeah, got my apple cut up coming along here. And once you got your apple rough chopped, just like this. Now I do, I don't really do sugar, but like, there's nothing wrong if you want a little bit of brown sugar, because let's be honest, it has to taste good what you're eating. But you know what? My quick cheat, I wouldn't even call it a cheat, it's just a great way to add a little bit more sweetness to my oats. I love throwing in dates. So I've got some dates here. I've got about 6 dates in here. And yes, you can chop them up. You don't have to. But the nice thing is you can just drop them whole into your oatmeal. And what's cool with the dates is they actually will melt as they cook. And what a lot of people don't realize with dates is they are high in fiber. They're also high in iron, and we need iron definitely to function, right? It helps with our blood vessels. It helps with red blood cell production. Helps with energy, right? Um, so yeah, iron is really essential. It's definitely an essential nutrient that our bodies cannot make. We actually have to take it in from food. So it's important that we try to make sure our iron levels are up, because that would lead, like having low iron levels can lead to anemia, which could lead to our feelings of being tired all the time. So, especially with the changes that we're all going through, it's important to make sure that we try to sustain ourselves nutritionally. And you know what? Go see your doctor. If you find that you're tired, you're eating as well as you can, you're still pretty tired, go speak with your doctor and get some blood work done to see where your iron levels are at. Like, if your hemoglobin levels are low. So this way you can better tailor what you're eating. Another thing I like to use, flax seeds. Great source of fiber. There's also a nice mucilage that almost like a goo slime that it actually elicits when you cook it. But what's really nice about it, and I put about a tablespoon of flax seeds in here, as you're cooking it, it actually creates a thickness, like a kind of a nice mouthfeel, like a silkiness to it. Um, but not only are flax seeds high in fiber, but they also have anti-inflammatory properties. There's omega oils in here that we also need for our hair, skin, body functions, heart health. So again, with the dry skin that some of us end up having, like for me, I found that I end up having, especially in the winter, very dry skin. It was almost to a point that you felt that you want to scratch your skin off. And it's like you lotion or you slather on like body creams and you're still feeling dry and itchy and your skin felt tight after a few like minutes. I found that this like flax seeds taking in like a good source of omega that also includes like fish too, like oily fishes. Yes, they smell, but like mackerel, sardines, um, salmon, those oils are really good to maintain our hair, skin, nails, brain function, heart function. So, anywhere that you can kind of sneak these things into your meals throughout your day really goes a long way over time with helping your body function. So I've got my flax seeds in here. Now, next, it's not oatmeal without oatmeal. And yeah, honestly, it's funny when I say I'm making oats, like even in the house, family, they're usually like, oats isn't just plain oats. It's usually got something in it. So it's not really just for me, but everybody, because I'm a huge proponent of healthy aging, aging well, aging gracefully. So I've got my oatmeal here. I usually buy it like, grocery store. Up here in Canada, we it's still relatively cheap. Like a whole bag will run me like about anywhere between $3 to $5. But the thing is, I'm only using about 2 to 3 tablespoons at a time. And this is really just for me. So I'm gonna go with, and yes, you can weigh your food. Like I find, like in terms of vegetables, if anything vegetable, berries, I don't really measure. I kind of just go with it. Oatmeal, you can measure it, and yes, typically I say 2 tablespoons, 2 to 3 tablespoons. And why I can say this is because I'll show you in a second. I've got a nice little digital scale. Honestly, if you are trying to lose excess body fat, this is like low key one of the best little investments you can get and have. And honestly, I think I bought this one like last year and it was about $20 on Amazon. So it works well. It has like one little battery that you change every now and again. I think I just changed the batteries on this a while ago. There's like different models, but real simple, lightweight. You know, it's cool because you can just wipe it off, which is really nice. Um, but yeah, you can turn it on. It has like a little light up screen, which is awesome. I was surprised. I didn't know. It was like bonus. So basically, I get my little bowl here and I zero the scale. I got my spoon. Yeah, this is a good old household tablespoon. And I just measure off. That's one. So 1 tablespoon is 12 grams because I have it set to the gram unit. You can use ounces depending on where you are. 2 tablespoons, that's 24 grams. Okay. And you can always check your nutritional values. Like you can always look this stuff up. You can get a really good nutritional tracker. You can always just go online and just Google how many grams of X, like oatmeal, that you're taking in. And so I'm looking for about 30 grams. So I got 35 grams. So in this case, I'm going to go with 35 grams. So it works out to 3 tablespoons of oats. Okay. So this is how I know, because I've been doing this for a while now, where I'm like, I know typically this particular spoon gives me this much oatmeal. Okay. But if you're brand new to measuring your food, and again, you don't have to be obsessive, but for certain things like, your grains that you're going to be eating on a regular basis, because you do need oatmeal. Oatmeal is pretty good. I know it's been vilified out there because a lot of people are saying, oh, no carbs, but you can eat some. You just, again, have to be aware as to how much you're eating, in terms of your serving sizes, so you know that you're following that. But like in terms of stuff like vegetables, like your leafy greens, you can go all out. You could eat like a whole head of lettuce, and honestly, it comes down to nothing but fiber and water. So you don't really have to necessarily measure that. But in terms of stuff like your rice, your oats, your pasta, yes, I love pasta, measure it out, because then you can adjust your recipe accordingly. So you still get to enjoy what you like. You still get that nice feeling and that nice mouth feel. Hell, sometimes we just want pasta. But at least this way you'll know, okay, how much am I eating? Okay. All right, so we've got our oats measured out. We've got our flax seeds in here. And so basically you're just going to just drop it in with the other prepared ingredients. Now, everybody's different. I like a little bit of seasoning with my oatmeal. So I've got myself some ground cinnamon. You can also throw in a cinnamon stick in there. That works really well too. Now, the only thing is with the cinnamon stick, you're going to get a stronger taste, but you may have to like crack it, or you just throw it whole and let it boil. So you've got that, and I've also got, I don't know, it's the Jamaican in me. I don't know anybody else out there, but I like a little bit of nutmeg in my porridge. So I've got my little hand grater here. Again, dollar store. You can grab one of these guys. But yeah, nutmeg, they'll cost you a bit. But you know what? A little bit goes a long way. But it has such a nice flavor to it. I find anything cozy like oatmeal, any kind of cakes. I love throwing some of this stuff in here, and it's not much. So literally just a couple passes on the grater goes a long way. And I just knock off the little extras. And like I said, this stuff is not cheap, so I put it away. It's got its own little baggie just for that. And then what you do is you're going to add some water. Now there is already a lot of water in the zucchini, and what's really neat is as it cooks, the zucchini is going to release its water. Okay, so the zucchini is going to release its water. And you know what? One more little thing, one more splash. I put a little bit of vanilla extract. And yes, please don't come at me that I'm using the artificial vanilla. Is what I could afford. Okay, but if you got vanilla beans, you can flake off a little bit of those. If you have, you know, real vanilla extract, go for it. Whatever you have, because like I said earlier, whatever you're able to sustain and repeat, you win. Okay, ultimately this is what's going to do it for you. So I just put it on high just to get it up to a boil, and you're just going to slowly let this cook. And it smells awesome once it starts to boil. Yeah, so it smells really nice already, like it's starting to heat up. And you're just gonna let it cook. And how you're gonna know that it's cooking is that everything is gonna kind of get a bit mushy, and the oats are gonna get softened. Oh, about the oats, you don't have to get too caught up on, whether it's steel cut rolls or quick cook oats, whatever you can get your hands on. Now, of course, if you're using steel cut oats, there's a bit of an extra step to that. So you'll want to just, like if it's steel cut, you want to soak it overnight. So whatever you're going to use, you just measure it out just the same. Soak it in water overnight. You can just toss it in like a bowl or one of those plastic containers, or what, a bowl is fine, and just put it in the fridge and let it soak overnight. And then the next morning you can cook it a lot quicker, because the difference between steel cut oats and quick oats is that it has not been steam treated and flattened, so the cook time really could be a whole lot longer. There's even another type, I think they call it like groats, where it's the whole oat. It's very nutty. It's a very nutty, full body flavor, kind of chewy. It almost reminds me of barley in a way. It has that nice chewy mouthfeel. But honestly, that's another one that you'd have to soak overnight. But it takes at least an hour to cook. So if you're in a hurry, quick oats all the way. Because you can see that I just threw in a zucchini, my other ingredients, and it's cooking. And it's bubbling right now. I don't know if you can see. I'm going to move the camera a little closer that you can see that it's bubbling. See, there you go. Bubbling beautifully, right? Now, this is the part where it gets interesting, because sometimes you might get a little bit of a burn. So this point, once it starts to bubble, and you can see where it's getting kind of creamy looking, and the apples are melting down. Look at that, right? So you can kind of just ease it off the burner for a minute and turn the stove down. Now, if anybody is wondering what this is at the back, it's another recipe that I'll probably share with you guys on another video. And even like it's I like to call a crustless quiche. Really easy, but we'll talk about it on another video. And actually, that can go with this. Okay. So the oatmeal is almost done. I don't know, like they talk a lot about mood swings. Like I've seen a lot of people, like even at work, there's some people that I've noticed having, like, they'll have days where they're kind of feeling angst, like angry or just sad all the time. I don't know. Like for me, I can't say that I've had sadness, but you know what? I do notice where sometimes I feel like I could be a little short with people. Maybe just a little bit of, like, my patience is a little shorter. So I don't know. I don't know what do you guys think out there, if that's a part of, the menopause journey. That's something that we gotta look out for, you know. But for sure, I can say I've definitely had the aches, the muscle aches. You get up in the morning, you're like, especially in the wintertime or when it rains. Does anybody out there experience that? Achy joints during the rain, like, or it's gonna rain? Yeah, that's pretty brutal. But like I said, I found, like, since I've been eating, you know, most of my food's home cooked now, and like high fiber, moderate to high protein, and exercising, like, and stretching, like after like doing a lot of movements, I found that's made a huge difference with how I feel. I don't know. Anybody else out there who's feeling that way, let me know in the comments. We can all share. Yeah, so we're just letting this bubble away. It's just about done. So now you can see where it's thickened and it's creamy. You can see that now, right? And the apples are still like chunks, which is what I want. So I'm just gonna let it boil for maybe another minute or two. And then after this is what you can do. Once it's boiled down like this, and you can hear it's like thickened quite a bit now, it's cooked. You can turn the burner off and just let that heat go. And yeah, if you're wondering, yeah, I cooked it on like 6 just to get that boiling going. And now I've turned it off and just letting that heat go through it. And what's neat is I've cooked it with water because I found it does a better job, of just cooking through everything. And then once it's cooked, which it is, you can see now, I'm going to get my bowl. So I've got my bowl here. And again, you can weigh it out if you want or not. It's entirely up to you because, again, this thing is like, what, a cup and a half of zucchini easily. So it's not a heck of a lot of oatmeal. But, again, we already measured it all out. But what I like to do is I'll pour it out into my bowl here. And what's funny? Like, this scale is amazing because I've used it with hot ingredients and I've not had a problem, which is awesome. So I pour out my oatmeal. Okay. And yeah, I have a little bit left over that I can always have, or like my daughter or my husband can have it later. And then I zero out the scale. Okay. And then yeah, I like to use a 0% milk fat yogurt. It could be any brand, but I like going with a yogurt that's just high protein. So this one is high protein specifically. So it gives me 17 grams of protein per serving. And on the side, it says, this is another thing to help you lose that excess body fat and build muscle all the while, like naturally, effortlessly. When you read, it says, okay, 175 grams, which is, yes, 3/4 cups if you're using cups, but I like using the scale, the gram weight, and it's only 100 calories. Now, I don't really care so much about the calories, I care a lot about the protein. So I know that 175 grams of this is going to give me, uh, basically 17 grams of protein. So I've zeroed out my scale already. And so basically I'm just going to scoop out the amount that I need, and my scale's gonna light up. And this one big hefty tablespoon has given me 68 grams. So I'm gonna keep going until I get to, and I really want a little bit more protein this morning, so I'm going to go with 200 grams. And there's my 200. And the extra I'm just going to top off for later. Okay? And that is it. So this is my oatmeal, my zucchini bread oatmeal. So it tastes like a zucchini muffin. I'd almost say it tastes like having dessert for a good, solid, high protein, high fiber, high fluid, like high water content meal that tastes good, it's sustainable, and it's relatively inexpensive. So tell me what you think. Come on back and we will share. I'll be more than happy to share more recipes that has allowed me to live a much better life in my time of menopause. See you soon and enjoy.